Hey there, my friends. How you all doing out there today? We're going to get right to it. I want to talk about rewiring your brain on a plant-based diet. Now, I say rewiring your brain, but there might be a little rewiring of your tongue intended too. And before I get started, I did say plant-based, but this is just kind of head stuff. This is kind of the psychology, the behavioral, the process of all of this. So these could actually be used on anything, whether you eat raw, whether you eat this type of vegan, that type of vegan, even if you don't eat vegan. This is just about eating the thing like you have decided. In other words, like whatever your personal thoughts are, whatever your ideas are on nutrition and everything else, you've decided like these are the things that I want to eat. These are the things that I deem healthy. These are the things that I want to cut out. I don't want to eat these anymore. These are the things that I deem unhealthy. So how do we get there? And a lot of that is just simply, like I say, rewiring your brain and understanding a little bit of how our brain functions and how we work concerning these things. And one of the first words that comes up is cravings. Well, the reason people keep getting cravings and the reason people have a harder time letting go of that list of things that they've decided, I'm not deciding for you, I'm not telling you what they are, but you've made your list of things that I don't want to eat this anymore. This doesn't serve me. These aren't the things that I want to eat. But here's what a lot of people will do, and this is the biggest mistake. They'll take things off of that don't list, and they'll say, well, I'll have them from time to time. I'll have a little moderation with them. I will have them once a week. I'll have them 3 times a week. But the thing is that just always stirs up the craving, the taste, and when it comes to the tongue, actually, that's actually a little bit more physical. Like there are certain things like that it's going to take a little bit of time to detox your tongue. So you just have to, it's kind of habits. It's like everything else. You just have to rewire your brain. When you're doing something, when you're in the middle of doing something, whether it's eating, I've thought about things like this before. Like it's the same with cigarettes. It's the same with cocaine. It's the same with alcohol. Especially if you have a problem with things like cocaine and alcohol. When you're in the middle of that, yeah, getting rid of it is not easy. And when you stop, you're sitting around constantly, you're wanting some more of it. But take, for instance, if you're somebody like me, however many years it's been 11 years since I've smoked a cigarette. I have no desire for a cigarette. But my head is very differently and my behavior is very different than it was, say, 11 years ago when I quit. When I quit 11 years ago, 2 weeks after I quit, yeah, my brain was still doing those. Well, you can have you've been 2 weeks without a cigarette. You can have a cigarette. Why not have a cigarette now? And then that's it. You'll just have one. You can have one from time to time. But I had known from experience in the past that no. I don't care how benign that seems. I could smoke that one cigarette and then it would be, okay, well, I've had a cigarette and that wasn't that bad. And then it would get a little bit more. Same with alcohol, same with cocaine, same with food. The things that people are trying to eat. I've seen it in comments. I've been doing videos for a long, long time. And I'll see people that have, and that's the part that I don't think I would have gotten through. I do have a little bit of admiration for the people that have never quite gotten to the version of a plant-based diet they wanted to, even some of them after 3, 4, and 5 years. I mean, I see people comment. I've heard people say over and over and over, well, I just can't get rid of this, or this, I always have a problem with this, or this keeps coming up, or I'll eat a little bit of this and then I go overboard. Yes, it's right there in front of you. If you keep doing it, you're going to keep doing it. You're not going to stop. Most of us are not good at that. Like there's very few people out there with the cigarette. How many people, and there's a few here and there, how many people do you know that could say consistently smoke 5 or 6 cigarettes a week? I mean, that's just, I don't really know. That's such a small percentage of people doing it. So when you're reintroducing this food all the time, you're gonna keep wanting it. It's an endless cycle. And like I say, not telling you how to eat, not telling you eat like me, eat like this, eat like this. It's whatever. Let's just say a widget. You have decided you don't want to eat this widget. And if you keep eating it, you're going to keep wanting it. And if you keep trying to moderate it and you keep trying to do these little, well, I can do it once in a while, I can do these things, it's not going to actually work. And the rewiring, whether it's your brain or your tongue, and because the brain is controlling the whole body, there's little things like in the beginning, even subtleties and stuff like salt. Salt's a good example. If you take somebody that comes from the standard American diet and maybe not the healthiest version where you're using, I like that word, seasoning. It's all about seasoning here in the Deep South. And if you're coming from just like the food that a lot of people are used to eating, and you switch over and you take that salt out of the dishes that you're making for them, even if it's plant-based or whatever, or even like there's probably dishes like if you took the salt out of it and it wasn't even completely a plant-based thing, you take that salt out, people are going to be like, ugh, this is bland. Oh my God, this needs something. And then if you just kind of keep going, okay, well, I'm going to add some salt here. Eventually, I'll just kind of I'll try to white knuckle it and go cold turkey. But you're going to have to kind of go through a little bit of that period of like, okay, it's not quite right, because your tongue is going to kind of detox. And if you stop using that salt and that processed stuff and all those little chemically things on a regular basis, it's not going, then your food's going to taste natural without it. Our taste buds have become so corrupted. And it's the same thing with things like fruit. A lot of times people that have like a real sweet tooth, the ones that sit around, the ones that are basically coming from, they've eaten a lot of candy, they've eaten a lot of processed sugar, they've eaten a lot of the corn syrups and stuff. No, the fruit is not going to taste to them like it tastes to me, or like it tastes to somebody that eats fairly healthy version of a plant-based diet. That fruit's going to be kind of bland. I remember I started noticing this when I first went vegan. When I was down in Costa Rica, there was some smoothie shops that I like to go to down there. And yes, I have to mention all the time, it's not like here in the States where you just go in and they're pouring out of bottles a whole bunch of syrups. The fruit smoothies you can get in Costa Rica are legit. They are fruit. They have a lot of cut up fruit. They're dumping it in. But every place I went, I learned I had to tell them no azúcar, no sugar, because they'll put sugar in with a fruit smoothie because most people, just because and that's one thing about Central America, everybody eats a lot of fruit down there, but they're also eating the other junk and the processed sugar, so they all still need a little bit of a boost in there when they're making their fruit smoothies. So sugar is one of those things. When you're using processed sugar, the fruit's not going to taste so sweet. And there's a lot of things like that. Like I say, you just kind of have to get through certain periods. Once again, going back to addictions, anybody that's ever quit anything can relate a little bit more to this. There is going to be a little bit more of an uncomfortable period when you're giving up anything. So just expect that. Deal with it however you have to, and just know you're going to have to, at some point, go through that. And we've all dealt with that over and over and over, where you're in that moment of struggle with whatever it is, and you're sitting there going, and you really have that craving, or you really want something, and you're like, I got to do it. But you're going to set yourself back. So just something to think about a little bit on here. It's not all about just like, tell me what to eat, write it down, do this. There's a little bit of psychology and behaviorism involved there too. So anyhow, hope that helps you a little bit. If you like this one, please give me a thumbs up. Have a great rest of your week. And I think I have at least one more video for you this week, if not more. Peace.